We also want to go up to St. Anne's Parish. Now, that's on the north coast, so that's removed, but St. Anne's Bay is within the cone. And it's possible that later this afternoon, we will feel those impacts. We want to bring in Fox Weather Correspondent Robert Ray as he's been watching this. Robert, I don't know if you have a return, if you've been able to see what we're seeing in Treasure Beach. What a ferocious storm.
I do not have a return, but I just got word from Jared on site here, meteorologist, that, yeah, you guys do have a live camera down there, and he tells me it's amazing. I can't imagine what the images are. And, you know, we've got a bit of a lull in the rain here, considering that last time we spoke, an hour ago, less than an hour ago, it was an absolute downpour. But winds are kicking up as those outer bands move through here, and trying to give you guys some different looks, but we fully expect when the system makes its way up here, which we should start feeling significant impacts in the 1 o'clock hour, is what our prediction is, that we're going to start to see the degradation here. But honestly, Stephen, I cannot even fathom what is happening down to the southwest on Treasure Beach and some of those other areas, the breadbasket of Jamaica. Remarkable and unsurvivable, likely.
You, Robert, from the perspective of the rain, we had Brian Norcross on. He's going to be with us throughout the afternoon. Describing the characteristic, the nature of the system, it's more annular. It's more like a disc. We often associate hurricanes with these rain bands that spiral in, and certainly we've seen those with Melissa. But in this case, and maybe you can speak to it, the rain has been persistent. And if anything, it's just going to grow more and more intense. We're not looking at so much these bands as much as this is just a solid shield of rain that continues to move over the island, and it's only going to grow more intense as the winds pick up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what we're going to feel. I mean, we've had the ebb and flow of rain and breezy conditions, at least here in north central Jamaica, throughout the day, and even began last night. But as soon as this landfall occurs and it begins to make its way on that predicted northeasterly track up into the Montego area and where we're about 50 miles away from Montego Bay. Yeah, we expect consistent downpours. And, you know, as predicted, maybe upwards to 3 feet plus in some areas. And that's just going to, you know, you're going to have water that is just rushing down the road that I'm on right now. Any slight decline is going to have that. And as a matter of fact, the camera cannot move out of his position. Pete can't move out of the garage that he's in right now for protection. But, I mean, Stephen, I'm looking actually on the upslope of this road right now, and water going into a sewer, just draining down into the sewer, doing a fine job right now. But I don't think that's going to be the case as the deterioration of the atmosphere continues after this landfall here, and particularly where we're at. And a quarter mile down this road is the Caribbean Sea, and up and down the stretch that leads into Montego Bay, full of restaurants and businesses and homes and structures. And I have to think that there's just going to be a lot of destruction from the wind field, and clearly the flooding is a major issue, the flooding that is on the way for the entire island.
Where we see the most intense winds, there's no doubt that those trees could be uprooted from the ground. They could certainly snap in half. I know you've been reporting on the power outages, Robert, throughout Jamaica. Yeah. Wondering what you would make and what could make of what you've seen in Jamaica, because when you talk about storm preps, it is twofold, because you've got flooding, you've also got the wind, and people will board up their homes because of the wind. And we've made a lot of this landfall that we're going to see on the south coast, but it's very well possible that we could have a Cat 5 go through Jamaica, not just at the shore. So that would include up in St. Anne's Bay. People boarded up, fortified for that wind.
Right. The resorts are. That is a given. The resorts are boarded up, and they've taken really big precautions. Like the neighborhood we're in, I mean, I have to be honest with you. There's no boards on windows that I'm seeing. People have put tape on there in case there's a blowout, but I just don't know if that's going to do the trick as far as what you just said. And isn't it remarkable that indeed we could have a hurricane that crosses 60, 70 miles inland here across the entirety of Jamaica, and it could still be a Cat 5 as it exits the island. And then you've got the backside. This is going to go on, obviously, all day today, but we're going to be feeling effects into tomorrow morning as well.
We've seen the speed of Hurricane Melissa increase, too. It's gone up from, it was 5 miles an hour this morning to 7, now 9. It's certainly feeling the tug of the steering. In fact, when we look at how this thing has been born and grown in the Caribbean, this is the fastest movement that we've had out of Hurricane Melissa now. But what's remarkable, and we've been showing the enhanced satellite from space, Robert, this thing's still intact, and this one could very well go down as one of the strongest or the strongest hurricanes to make landfall, certainly in this generation. But we have to go back to 1935. Before we let you go, because we've only got a couple of minutes left, from your perspective, this thing's going to move in later this afternoon. From your vantage point, you can see the ocean. What are you guys anticipating?
Well, I can tell you, we're anticipating full power outage. We are anticipating losing communication on mobile service. Last update an hour ago from officials was that 25% of the island was out of cell phone coverage, and over 35% was already out of power, and that is before landfall. That's pretty amazing. And indeed, we're up on the hill here. So about a quarter mile is the Caribbean Sea. So we are anticipating the structure that we're in, which is well built and fortified to hold up. Having said that, we are getting water from the rain that we've gotten this morning leaking through roofs and windows and ceilings and starting to come down into our first floor, leaking down on the stairs. It's not a rush of water, but it is water. So that is going to be dangerous inside this house. And we're going to hunker down here and cover it. And the second we can leave this compound, we will go out into the streets and try to capture, if we can drive. You just don't know what the debris field's going to be.
It's true. Going to go down to hill pretty quick. Okay, Robert Ray in St. Anne's Bay up in Jamaica. Robert, we appreciate the report. He's going to continue with us throughout the afternoon. You'll want to keep it here